The first thing that hit me that night was one line inside the brown notebook that shook my chest. I saw my own name and one date that I did not remember, and beside it my father wrote that he failed me that day. When I read that line, it felt like hot water poured on my back. My hands started shaking. I did not even understand myself. I just knew something inside me broke open. That moment was the beginning of everything that later scattered me and my father. But let me go back to how I even saw the book in the first place. I came back home that Friday to check on my father. I was 37 years old, living in Enugu town. My father was already retired, and he had this slow way of walking like his legs were tired of carrying him. Even when he talked, it was as if he was always saving energy. Growing up, we were not close. We respected each other, but it was the kind of respect that comes with too much silence. We never argued, but we also never shared anything deep. That Friday afternoon, I helped him carry some old boxes from his wardrobe because he said he wanted to clean the room a bit. The room smelled like dust and old clothes. He sat on the bed while I bent down and pulled one carton out. That was when I saw the small brown notebook. It was wrapped inside nylon, like something someone wanted to hide from air and eyes. I held it up and asked him if I should drop it aside. He looked at it in a strange way, like somebody looking at a wound they forgot they had. His face changed small. Then he said I should keep it, that it belonged to me. I did not understand him, but I just nodded. Something inside me felt the matter was important, but I did not want to start asking questions yet. Later that night, when the whole house was quiet and the generator outside was humming like a tired bee, I opened the notebook. The first thing I saw was my name. My name was everywhere. Some pages looked old, some handwriting looked shaky, some sentences looked like somebody wrote them in the dark while holding tears back. I started reading. I saw things my father noticed about me when I was small. Things like when I came first in class, when I asked him if he was proud of me, when I fought one boy in primary school and came home crying. Things he never told me he cared about. Some of the things were sweet. Some were sad. Some showed me that my father had his own battles. I felt something heavy growing in my chest as I turned each page. But nothing prepared me for that date. That date in the middle of the book. That date I did not understand. That line where he wrote that he failed me. That line that pulled me out of the story and dragged me into a place I did not want to face. That night, as I sat alone on the bed with the book in my hand, I knew my life was about to change, but I did not know how deep the matter would go. I did not know it would drag out a memory I had buried without knowing. I did not know it would force me to look at my father in a way I had never looked at him before. But everything started with that small brown notebook. The book I was not supposed to see. I could not sleep that night. I lay on the bed with the fan blowing straight on my face, but my body was still hot. My eyes stayed wide open, staring at the ceiling, because that date inside the notebook kept turning around in my head like someone beating a drum. I kept asking myself what happened that year, why my father wrote that kind of thing, and why the handwriting on that page was shaking like someone's hand was weak from crying. I tried to remember that time in my life, but everything felt like fog. I remembered changing schools suddenly in JSS 2, but I never knew the reason. I always believed it was because my father wanted a better school for me. Anytime the memory reached that point, my mind would go blank, like someone switched off the light. I picked the notebook again and started reading from the beginning, slowly this time. I wanted to see if there was any clue, anything that would lead me back to that date. The early pages were full of small things. My father writing how I liked to follow him around when I was small, how I always wanted him to look at my drawings, how he used to pretend he was not impressed, but deep inside he was happy. Reading all that made my chest feel tight. I did not know he noticed those things. I always thought he did not care. Then the writing began to change as the years passed. The tone became heavier. He talked about how he did not know how to show love, how his own father was too hard on him, how he did not know how to break the cycle. I felt like I was reading someone trying to talk, but afraid of being heard. When I reached that bad date again, I closed the book and sat up. I knew I could not keep guessing. I needed to ask him directly. But even that thought made my stomach twist. My father was not the kind of man you just walk up to and start talking about sensitive things. He was quiet, strict, and always in control. I had never seen him look ashamed or confused, but the way he looked at the notebook earlier told me this matter was not ordinary. The next morning, I woke up early because sleep refused to stay. I heard him moving in the kitchen. I carried the notebook and went to meet him. My heart was beating fast, but I tried to keep my face calm. He was washing his cup, taking his time like he always did. I stood by the door and waited. He turned and saw the notebook in my hand. His eyes changed immediately. He did not say anything, but his shoulders dropped a little. That was when I knew he had been waiting for me to ask. I told him I read everything. I told him something was missing from my memory. I told him I needed to know what happened that year. As soon as I said it, his hands started shaking. His lips pressed together tight like he was trying to hold words inside his mouth. He sat down slowly like someone carrying a heavy load on his back. Then he covered his face with both hands. For the first time in my life, I saw fear on my father's face. Real fear. Not anger. Not annoyance. Fear. He said he prayed this day would not come. He said he had been begging God for years to hide that memory from me. He said he wished he was strong that day, but he was not. As he spoke, his voice kept breaking. My chest became cold. I felt like running away, but my legs were glued to the floor. I wanted to shout, but I could not even breathe well. I just stood there listening, waiting for him to say the thing that would change everything. He opened his mouth again and started to talk about that afternoon in 2001, and as he spoke, I felt my world slowly turning upside down. The words came out of him slowly, like somebody pulling out thorns one by one from their own skin. I stood there watching him, and for a moment I felt like I was no longer in my father's kitchen. I felt like I was somewhere outside my own body, listening to a story I was not ready to hear. He said the problem started with a man he trusted too much, a family friend who used to visit us often, a man we all called Uncle Darlington. I remembered him small, remembered his loud laugh, remembered how he always tapped my shoulder when he greeted me. But the memory felt weak, like a picture that stayed too long under the sun. My father said he came home early from work that day in 2001. He was tired and angry because his boss shouted at him. He parked his bicycle outside, entered the house, and heard a sound from my room. He called my name, but I did not answer. Then he walked inside and saw something that froze him. Something he could not even describe well as he sat there telling me. He said Uncle Darlington was too close to me. Too close in a way no grown man should be to a child. He said he shouted his name, grabbed me, pushed the man away, and I started crying. He said I was shaking like someone that saw something strange and did not understand it. He said he asked me if the man touched me before he came in, but I just kept crying and hiding my face. I was listening to him, but it felt like cold water was running down my back. My ears were hot. My hands were sweating. My whole childhood memory began shaking like someone hit it with a hammer. I tried to remember that day. I tried to remember anything, but all I saw in my mind was darkness, like a door blocking me from entering my own past. My father continued talking. He said he grabbed Darlington by the shirt and dragged him outside. He said he wanted to beat him or shout for neighbors, but he felt this sudden fear of what people would say. He said he kept thinking of shame, disgrace, his name, our family name, what the street would say, what the church would say. He said he held Darlington's shirt and threatened him quietly, told him never to come near the house again, and then he let him go. I felt something sharp cut my chest when he said that part. I could not understand how a father could see something like that and still worry about his name. I stood there with a stiff face, but inside me something was burning. He said he carried me to my room, cleaned my face, told me everything was fine, and that I should rest. He said I did not talk. I did not look at him. He said I just held my pillow and slept. He said that night he could not sleep because he knew he failed me. He said that was why he removed me from the school and kept me at home for 2 weeks, but he still could not face the truth. He said he thought I was too young to understand, and he prayed I would forget. He said he hoped time would wipe everything away. I remembered the transfer to the new school. I remembered my classmates asking why I left. I remembered lying and saying my father wanted a better school. I remembered how I started withdrawing from people without knowing why. My father looked at me. His face was wet. His hands were shaking. He said he carried that guilt every day from that year till now. He said the notebook was the only place he told the truth. As I listened to him, something heavy filled my stomach. It was pain, but it was also anger. Not the kind of anger that makes someone shout. The quiet kind. The deep kind. I walked out of the kitchen without saying a word. My father called my name, but my legs kept moving. I went straight to the guest room, picked my bag, and left the house. As I stepped outside, it felt like I was leaving the version of my childhood I used to know behind me. Everything changed that afternoon, and nothing felt familiar anymore. I did not even know when I reached the bus stop. I just kept walking with the bag in my hand and my mind scattered like broken glass. The sun was hot, but I could not feel it. My chest was tight, and every step felt heavy. I entered the first taxi I saw and told the driver to take me to the nearest hotel. I did not care which one. I just needed to leave that house before I said or did something I could not take back. When I reached the hotel room and the door closed behind me, silence hit me like a slap. I sat on the bed and dropped my bag. Then everything I was holding inside started pouring out. I was not crying loud, but tears were coming out like a tap that refused to close. I did not even know which pain was stronger, the pain of what happened back then, or the pain of knowing my father hid it from me for all these years. I lay down on the bed, but sleep refused to come. My mind kept replaying his words, the part where he said he saw something, the part where he said he kept quiet, the part where he said he let the man go. I kept asking myself if he ever looked at me as a child and felt guilt, if he ever wanted to talk but fear held his mouth shut, if he ever thought I would one day find out the truth. When it was night, I switched off the light and stayed in the dark. I thought maybe darkness would make my head calm, but the darkness only reminded me of that blank space in my memory, that empty hole that I could not enter no matter how hard I tried. I kept trying to remember the exact moment, my room, the man, my father shouting, but every time I pushed too hard, my mind blocked it. I opened the notebook again. That book became the only light in the whole room. I read everything slowly, letting each line enter me. I saw how he wrote about my first day in school, how he wrote about the day I fell from my bicycle, how he wrote about the time I told him I wanted to be an architect. I saw the love he did not know how to show. I saw the fear. I saw the mistakes. Near the back of the notebook, there was one line that stopped my breath. He wrote that if the book ever reached me after he was gone, he wanted me to know he loved me the only way he knew how. And when I read that sentence, something inside me broke in a different way. It was not anger. It was not pain. It was a heavy, confusing understanding, like seeing a man who tried, failed, and punished himself every day for it. The next morning, I still could not go home. I walked around the hotel compound like someone waiting for rain. Every time I thought of going back, my stomach squeezed. I felt like a small boy again. I felt weak, and I hated the feeling. At night, I sat by the window and looked at the road. Cars passed, people walked. The world continued like nothing happened, and I sat there holding a notebook that carried the whole weight of my childhood. By the second night, something changed inside me. Not forgiveness, not peace, but a small voice telling me I could not run from this forever, that I needed to face him, that I needed to face myself, that this wound would not close by hiding inside a hotel room. So I packed my bag again. My hands were shaking, but I did not stop. I knew I had to go home. I knew the next thing waiting for me was the hardest conversation of my life. The truth had already found me. Now I had to face what came next. Going back home felt like walking into a place where the air was thicker than before. I held my bag tight as I walked down the familiar street, but nothing felt familiar anymore. Every step reminded me of the notebook. Every sound reminded me of my father's voice breaking in the kitchen. I wanted to turn back, but something inside me kept pushing me forward. When I reached the compound, I saw my father sitting outside on the old wooden chair he always used. His shoulders were bent as if someone pressed a heavy stone on his back. He looked smaller than I remembered. The moment he saw me, he did not stand up. He did not smile. He did not rush to speak. He just looked at me with eyes that were tired and scared. I dropped my bag near the door and sat on the other chair. For some seconds, both of us did not talk. I could hear the sound of a neighbor's radio playing far away. I could hear birds on the mango tree. My father breathed out slowly, almost like someone trying not to cry. Then he started talking. He said he was sorry. He said he had been sorry for many years, long before I knew anything. He said he wished he shouted that day. He wished he fought. He wished he grabbed the man and dragged him to the police station. He wished he was brave. He said he chose the wrong thing because he feared shame more than he understood the damage of silence. Listening to him hurt, but I did not stop him. He said he saw the way I changed after that day. How I stopped talking too much, how I preferred staying alone, how I became jumpy around strangers. He said he saw all these things but told himself that time would fix it. He said he was wrong. His voice shook when he told me he wrote the notebook because he could not talk to me directly. He said he did not know how to be a father who explains things. He did not know how to face his own mistakes. He said the book was the only place where he told the truth without fear. As I listened, something in me began to soften, but it did not remove the pain. It only made the pain clearer. I told him I was hurt. I told him I was angry. I told him I did not know how to feel about him anymore. As I spoke, he lowered his head like someone accepting punishment. But I also told him I came back because running would not solve anything. I told him I wanted to understand him, not excuse him. I told him I needed time, but I was ready to talk. After that, both of us went quiet again. This time the silence felt different. Not empty, not heavy, just quiet. A quiet that allowed both of us to breathe. He stood up slowly, went inside, and returned with 2 roasted corns. He handed one to me without speaking. We both sat there eating like 2 people learning how to be in the same space again. The sun was going down, painting the compound with soft orange light. In that moment, I did not feel fully healed. I did not feel fully okay, but I felt something new. Something small, like the beginning of a bridge being built between 2 broken places. We did not hug. We did not cry on each other. We just sat eating roasted corn, letting the evening breeze touch our faces. It was not a perfect ending, but it was real. And for the first time in a long time, real felt enough.